Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a professional looking vehicle selection or a character selection menu for our Unity game. This will be an in-depth guide on how to select different vehicles, unlock them using gems, and also how to display their stats on the screen, which we can upgrade using gold. This is the first part of the tutorial, in which we will build the complete user interface of our vehicle selection menu. In this tutorial, I will be using the Casual Game GUI by Layer Lab and the Monster Truck Pack by Dog Machine. Both of these assets are available on the Unity Asset Store, and I have added the links of these assets in the description of the video. Let's get started with the tutorial. I have an empty scene in which the first thing I'm going to do is import the Monster Truck models. The Monster Truck Pack comes with a garage background. I will be using this as the background of my level selection menu. You can use any nice looking environment from your game as the background of your vehicles in the level selection menu. And let's just copy all the truck models and the garage to the level selection scene. Next, let's adjust the position of the camera and create a pivot in the center around which we can rotate the camera. This way, the user will be able to see a 3D model of the currently selected vehicle behind the vehicle selection menu. And here you want to make sure that the camera is slightly to the right of the pivot so that the vehicle is on the left side of the screen and we have some space on the right side where we can display the stats without hiding the vehicle behind it. And once we have our 3D background ready, let's start creating our menu in front of it. Create a new canvas which we will call Vehicle Select Menu. Set the scaling mode of your canvas so that it auto resizes based on your screen size. And now in our canvas, let's create 3 images. One for the bottom bar where we will display the buttons for selecting vehicles and starting the game. One for the top bar where we will display the current coins and gems available to the user. And the third one for the panel on the right where we will display the stats of the current vehicle. And now we can adjust the anchors and the positions of these 3 images. The bottom bar will be stretched across the bottom of the screen. The top bar will be slightly smaller than the bottom bar and it will be anchored to the top. And the right panel will be adjusted over here. We want to make it slightly transparent so that the vehicle is visible behind it. Now let's start working on our bottom bar. Let's just disable the other 2 bars while we are working on this. Change the source image of the bottom bar and then add a new button to it. This will be our start button. Change the background of the button and the font style to something nice. We are going to adjust it on the right of the bottom bar. And now on the left side of the start button, let's add a new scroll view. Inside the scroll view, we will have the buttons for selecting our vehicles. You want to delete both the horizontal and the vertical scroll bars. Anchor the scroll view to the bottom and then adjust the size so that it is touching the left corner of the screen, and on the right it is almost touching the start button. Adjust the height to cover the whole bottom bar and then change its color as required. Make sure that you have unchecked vertical scrolling, as this will only be a horizontal scroll bar. Next, on the content panel of the scroll view, add a horizontal layout group and a content size fitter. And now we can add the buttons inside the content panel for selecting the vehicles. Create a new button. Change its background. And adjust the size as required. Set the padding of the button from the top and the left. And now duplicate this button so that we can adjust the spacing between the buttons in the content panel. Set the horizontal fit of the content size fitter to minimum size and change the spacing as required. Once we have adjusted the spacing, delete the duplicate button. And now we can create an image inside this button for the icon of the vehicle. Change the image and adjust the size as required. On top of this, we will add another image which is the same as the button image. This will be used to grey out the other images on the button when the vehicle is locked. And inside this, we can add an image of a lock icon. Adjust the position and the size of the lock icon as required. We can later disable these locked images from our code when the vehicle is unlocked. Once we have this button ready, we can just duplicate it in the scroll view for all the other vehicles. Change the vehicle icons on all the buttons and adjust their sizes as required. And the bottom bar for our menu is now ready. We have a nice scroll view with all the buttons for selecting the vehicles. You can add as many more buttons as you need for your game. On top of these buttons, we have the lock icons, which we can disable from our code to show that the vehicle is unlocked. On the right, we have a start button. We also want to add an unlock button here for when the user selects an unlocked vehicle. Simply duplicate the start button, change the background sprite, and also change the text to unlock. We can now enable one of these buttons from our code, depending on whether the selected vehicle is locked or unlocked. Now that we are done with the bottom bar, let's start working on the right panel, where we will display and upgrade the stats of the vehicle. Enable the right panel image we created earlier. Change the background and the transparency of the image. Inside this right panel, create two empty objects. One for displaying all the stats when an unlocked vehicle is selected, and one for displaying that the vehicle selected is locked. Also, we want to add a text label here for the vehicle name, which will be displayed at the top of the panel. Change the position and the font of the title. Next, we will start adding the stats of the vehicle. On the left, add a text label for the name of the stat. And on the right side of this label, we will add a new UI slider for the current value of this stat. Make sure that the slider is not interactable. And also disable the handle slide area object of the slider. Next, change the background and the fill images of the slider. And then adjust the width and the height of the slider. We can now change the value of the slider from our code to show the current value of the stat. On the right side of the slider, add a button for upgrading the stat. Change the image and the position of the button as required. And in front of this button, we will add an image of gold, and also we will add a label for displaying the cost of upgrading the stat. Adjust the position of all the elements in the stat bar as required. And once we have this ready, we can just duplicate all the elements to create as many stat bars as we require. I will create 4 different stat bars, one for speed, one for grip, one for stability, and one for durability. Next, for the locked panel of the stat bar, inside this all we need is a locked image, a label to display that the vehicle is locked, a label to display the unlock cost of the vehicle, and in front of the cost we want an image of gems which will be used to make this purchase. We can later change the unlock cost from our code depending on which vehicle is selected. And the right panel of our menu is also done. When a locked vehicle is selected, we will display this locked screen, and when an unlocked vehicle is selected, we will display this screen with all the stats. Next, let's get started with the top bar of our menu. Change the background of the top bar. On the left side of the top bar, we can add a button for going back if we have a main menu in our game. Change the background image of the button. Adjust its position. And add an image for the icon of the back button. Next, on the right side, we will display the current gems and the coins the user has available. We can add a background image on top of which we will display these stats. One background for the coins and one background for the gems. And now we can add the icons for the gems and the coins. In front of these icons, we will add labels for the currently available coins and gems. And finally, in front of these labels, we will add buttons for purchasing more coins or more gems. These buttons will take the user to the store menu. Next, we need to create 3 pop-ups. One to confirm that the user wants to unlock the vehicle. One for when the user does not have enough gems to unlock the vehicle. And one for when the user does not have enough coins to upgrade a stat. Start by creating a transparent image inside your vehicle menu for the background of the pop-up. Stretch this image across the whole screen. Inside this background, we will create another image, on top of which we will display all the items of the pop-up. Change the image to match your user interface. Add all the labels and the images for displaying the details, for showing the details to the user. We need the unlock vehicle label, a text label for the price of the vehicle, and an image for the gem icon. And now we can add 2 buttons at the bottom of the pop-up, one to confirm the purchase and one to cancel the purchase. The first pop-up is ready. We can just duplicate this pop-up and make changes to create a pop-up for when the user does not have enough gems, and also to create a pop-up for when the user does not have enough gold. On these pop-ups, if the user clicks yes, it will take the user to the shop menu, where the user can purchase more gems or more gold. The vehicle selection menu is now ready. At the bottom, we have a scroll bar with the buttons for selecting the vehicles. In the top bar, we have a back button and also the current coins and the gems available to the user. And on the right, we have all the stats. Let's quickly create an animation on the background camera to make it rotate around the vehicle model. Select the camera pivot, open up the animation tab, and here create a new animation. In the animation, all we need to do is make the camera rotate 360 degrees in a duration of 20 seconds. We want to set the animation to linear so that it does not slow down at the starting and at the ending of the rotation. And the user interface for our vehicle selection menu is now ready. That's it for this video. In the next tutorial, we will go through the coding part, where we will add the script to select different vehicles, unlock new vehicles, and upgrade their stats. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to like and subscribe.